So in my household, my husband is not a consumer, but he's a huge hoarder. And he has a hard time letting things go. Whereas I'm the consumer, but I'm willing to let things go very easily. And I also do all the organizing in our home. And so going back to what you said earlier, TK, about you don't want to change them, you want them to learn for themselves. But I still get resentful when I'm the one that's moving that box, you know? And so I guess I just want to know if you guys could give me some encouragement to either change how I feel or change him. Yeah, but that's it. Because I'm tired of being mad at him.
True crime.
Someone just yelled true crime. Like we're going to see Pua on an upcoming serial podcast.
Coming soon, The Hoarder. 4-part series on Netflix. So there are two things here. There's one, the my husband is a hoarder part and the kind of judgment that goes along with that. And then there is the two, his hoarding might be fine for him, but it seems like the responsibility to manage it, move it around, and so on falls on me. And both of those are very important. So the first part, I think one of the hardest things to do in life is to articulate beliefs that we ourselves do not share. And I think it's very important to not be too confident about your ability to define what someone else believes, right? You want to be able to define another person's beliefs in a way that an actual believer of that would listen to and say, yeah, that's about right. So if I'm a socialist and I'm defining capitalists, if I'm a capitalist and I'm defining socialist, can I articulate it in such a way that someone who actually believes this thing I don't believe would listen to it and say, yeah, hey, you explain me pretty well. If you practice this, in most cases, you will find that no matter how good you are at that, people who actually believe it will be like, kinda, right? Like that's mostly right, but I would add this bit of nuance. Why is that an important concept? It's important because it's easy to take our labels like hoarder, which has a very personal meaning for us, and then impose that on someone else who could be doing exactly what they want to do and could be feeling a lot of joy with it and say, well, you're a hoarder too. Because if I were you and I did what you did, I would be so anxious about all the clutter in my life. Josh and I talk about this all the time, right? Clutter for me may not be clutter for him and vice versa. And so the first step I would take is aiming to connect with him rather than aiming to correct him. And I would get curious about his clutter, not as some game of manipulation, not as some pretentious sort of thing, but you're never going to be able to help him, nor are you ever going to be able to inspire him if you are not understanding of the underlying fundamental reasons for why he wants to hang on to those things. It could be possible that if he opens up and tells you the story behind these things, you might even say, oh, you know what? You should keep that stuff. Let's just find a better way to deal with the space that it takes up. Or you might find that when he begins to tell his story about why these things are there, he might even begin to see for himself where there's room to change things around. Ryan shared on a recent episode this really powerful practice I hadn't thought about before, where he says him and Mariah will sometimes get together and they'll ask each other, what are the things you want to work on in your life? Right? And it's very easy to be like, here's what I think you need to work on. But that produces a lot of defensiveness and a whole lot of other baggage. But when you ask the other person, you might find that that thing about them that's been irritating you is also irritating them too. And the thing they need the most is not for someone else to give them information that they already know, but for someone else to know that what they really need is support because they're struggling to deal with the things that are irritating you too. And I think it's very important to start with curiosity and connection before we fool around with any efforts to try to get people to behave differently. I believe it was John Maxwell who said, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. You got to connect first.
The meeting, it's on the calendar, that my wife and I have every month. We started doing this a few months ago. It's called a life dinner. And it really is like a sitting down and like hashing out, where we're going in life, what we want to do, what are our directions that we're trying to head in, and it's a great mechanism of support, and it never turns into, here's what I think you should do. And that's really important that it doesn't turn into that. I think that's a great idea, like to ask your husband to have a life dinner once a month, or maybe it's once a quarter, whatever works for you and him. But ultimately, when it comes to the issue right now, today, you obviously can't change your husband, but you can change your relationship with that box. So you are choosing to move that box. And the question is he worth it? Like when you move that, is it worth moving that box every single day to be with him? If Mariah was a hoarder and I had to move boxes every day, I think I'd move those boxes every day. I fucking love that woman.
Pua, can I ask you a question? What bothers you about his stuff?
I guess it's because I'm on this journey to have less stuff. I have 4 kids. I'm trying to simplify my life. And the stuff that he has are from his childhood that he doesn't look at. He doesn't want to look at because he doesn't have time.
Sure.
And I have to make space, or it's the clutter that's stressful to me. Like now that I see it, it's stressful, and that's why I keep moving it.
Why do you want to simplify your life?
Because
it's not inherently good. Just like your husband isn't inherently wrong for having things. Mm-hmm. And I hear a lot of upset and discontent, and I'm really sorry because I can feel it in you, and I've felt that same thing. Mm-hmm. There's a tension between you and this person you love, and if things were just a little bit different, then maybe things would be fine. But really, this is all just furniture. We're moving around furniture right now, literally and figuratively. Mm-hmm. You change if you paint a house that is rotting with termites, makes the house look a little bit better, but it doesn't actually get to the root of what's going on here.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to try to figure out what's really going on behind all of this. What's going on with his attachment, his unwillingness to let go of anything that, by the way, it's only clutter because it doesn't add value to his life. Now, he could be here. Is he here right now?
No, he's not.
No, of course not.
He wanted to come.
So we can say whatever we want about him.
Yes,
It's fine.
can. Let me record it for him.
I would not say anything I wouldn't say to his face, but here's what I would say to him if he were here is, why are you holding on to these things? But no, I wouldn't do so. I hear the judgment in your voice, and I totally get it. But remember that judgment is just a mirror that reflects the insecurities of the judge. And so when I judge my wife or my daughter or my friends for something that they are doing or something that they have done, what I'm really saying is that doesn't align with something that I want, right? It's showing my own expectations, my own preferences, my own opinions, my own beliefs about that. It doesn't make them true, and it doesn't make me right and him wrong, or vice versa, right? And so you don't have to answer this question right now, but I'd really like you to figure out, why are you simplifying? What's on the other side of that? What are you actually making room for? Yeah, a less cluttered house is nice, but a less cluttered house isn't going to repair your relationship.
Did you enjoy this standalone Patreon highlight? If so, you can listen to full episodes of the Minimalists private podcast available exclusively on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/theminimalists or click the link in the description. Your support keeps our podcast and YouTube channel 100% advertisement free.